Hey there, parents. Emily Parker here from Little Life Guide. If you're watching this video, chances are you're surviving on cups of coffee and stolen moments of sleep. Trust me, I've been there too. Those nights when you're walking around with your baby at 3 a.m. wondering what you're doing wrong and if you'll ever sleep again. Today, I'm breaking down the 5 most shocking mistakes that might be keeping your little one awake all night long. Things that even the most dedicated parents often miss. And this isn't just based on my experience as a mom. Consulted with leading pediatricians and sleep specialists to bring you advice that actually works. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what changes to make tonight for better sleep. And the 5th mistake. It completely transformed our sleep routine, so definitely stay until the end for that game changer. Before we dive in, if you're new here, Little Life Guide is all about evidence-based parenting tips that make your life easier while helping your baby thrive. Hit that subscribe button to join our parenting community. Now, let's talk about why your baby might be fighting sleep like it's their job. The frustrating part is that many of us are actually sabotaging our babies' sleep without even realizing it. And the worst part? The more exhausted we get, the more likely we are to make these mistakes in a desperate attempt to get some rest. The first shocking mistake that keeps babies awake: inconsistent bedtime routines. Now, you might be thinking, but Emily, I do have a bedtime routine. Here's the thing. Consistency doesn't just mean doing the same activities before bed. It means doing them at the same time, in the same order, and with the same environmental cues every single night. When I had my first baby, Noah, I thought I was being flexible by adjusting bedtime based on when he seemed tired. Some nights we'd start at 7, others at 8:30. But what I didn't realize was that I was actually confusing his internal clock. Babies thrive on predictability, and their circadian rhythms are still developing. Dr. Martinez, our pediatric sleep consultant, explained that even a 30-minute difference in bedtime can throw off a baby's sleep cycle. Your baby's body starts producing melatonin, that wonderful sleep hormone, at consistent times based on their routine. When the routine changes, that production gets disrupted. So what's the solution? Pick a bedtime and stick to it within 15 minutes every single night. And create a sequence of 3 to 5 activities that signals sleep time. Maybe it's a warm bath, followed by lotion massage, pajamas, a quiet book, and then a lullaby. Do these exact steps in this exact order every night. Within a week, your baby will start recognizing these cues and their body will begin preparing for sleep before they even hit the crib. Has anyone noticed their baby getting a second wind right before bedtime? That brings me to mistake number 2, missing your baby's sleep window. This one shocked me because it seems so counterintuitive. Most parents think a tired baby will sleep better, but the opposite is actually true. When babies become overtired, their bodies produce cortisol, a stress hormone that makes it harder to fall asleep and stay asleep. It's like giving your baby a tiny cup of coffee right before bedtime. I remember keeping Noah up once, thinking he'd sleep longer after a family dinner. And we paid for it with hours of crying and frustration. Here's how you spot the sleep window. Watch for those early tired signs: the slight eye rubbing, slowing down of activity, maybe a bit of fussiness or yawning. That's not the time to start the bedtime routine. That's actually the time to have your baby already in bed. Once you see full-blown eye rubbing and crying, you've missed the window. And it becomes much harder for them to settle. I found that keeping a sleep log for a few days helped identify Noah's natural patterns. Most babies under 1 year can only handle 2 to 3 hours of wake time before needing sleep again. Time your routine to begin about 30 minutes before this window closes. And you'll be amazed at how much more icily your baby drifts off. Now, let me ask you a question. What's the lighting like in your baby's room during the nighttime feedings or diaper changes? This leads us to mistake number 3, disruptive night interactions. This one was a complete revelation for our family. When Noah would wake up for night feedings, I'd turn on the lamp or the bathroom light to see what I was doing. I wanted to make sure he was latching correctly or that the diaper was properly changed. What I didn't realize was that any exposure to bright light was signaling to his brain that it was time to wake up. Even those brief moments of light were enough to reset his circadian rhythm and make it harder for him to return to sleep. The solution is surprisingly simple. Invest in a dim red night light. Red light has been shown to have the least impact on melatonin production. Keep night interactions boring, minimal, and in very low light. No playing, no singing, no bright screens or overhead lights. When your baby wakes at night, keep everything as dark and quiet as possible. Avoid eye contact. And keep diaper changes efficient after implementing this change. Noah started going back to sleep much more quickly after night wakings. Sometimes he wouldn't even fully wake up during feedings, making the whole process easier for both of us. Have you ever found yourself rocking your baby completely to sleep before placing them in the crib? That brings us to mistake number 4, creating sleep associations that can't be maintained throughout the night. This might be the most controversial point in this video. And I want to acknowledge up front that there are many different parenting philosophies around sleep. But here's the science. Babies, like adults, cycle through different stages of sleep throughout the night. They partially wake between cycles, and the way they fall asleep at bedtime is what they expect to find when they wake between cycles. If your baby falls asleep in your arms with rocking and singing, and they stir at 2 a.m., they'll likely need that same rocking and singing to fall back asleep. And that's completely fine if that works for your family. But if it's not sustainable for you, it might be time to help your baby learn to fall asleep in their sleep space. This doesn't mean you can't rock or feed your baby before bed. The key difference is putting them down drowsy but awake. They should be relaxed and sleepy, but still aware that they're being placed in their crib. This gives them the chance to learn that the crib is where sleep happens, and helps them connect sleep cycles throughout the night. When we first tried this with Noah, I won't lie, it was challenging. He was used to being rocked fully to sleep. We made the transition gradually, rocking until he was very drowsy, then putting him down and keeping a hand on his chest for reassurance. Over about a week, he learned to fall asleep in his crib, and his night wakings decreased dramatically. For families who aren't ready for this step, even small changes can help. Try gradually reducing the amount of rocking or assistance, or occasionally practice putting your baby down awake for naps, which can be easier than bedtime for some babies. Let me check in with you. Have any of these mistakes resonated with your experience so far? Drop a comment below and let me know which one you think might be affecting your family's sleep. Our community has so much wisdom to share, and your comment might help another exhausted parent. Now for the game-changing mistake number 5, inappropriate sleep environment. This was the change that transformed our nights, and I saved it for last because it combines several elements that many parents miss. The ideal sleep environment for babies isn't what most of us would intuitively create. We often think babies need absolute silence and complete darkness. But remember, they've spent 9 months in the womb, which is actually quite noisy with constant sounds of heartbeat, digestion, and muffled external noises. And the lighting in the womb gradually changes from day to night. The first element of an optimal sleep environment is temperature. Overheating is not only a SIDS risk factor, but also makes it harder for babies to sleep soundly. The ideal room temperature for baby sleep is between P-72 degrees Fahrenheit, Y-22 degrees Celsius, which is cooler than many parents realize. I was keeping Noah's room to warm because I was worried about him being cold. And once we adjusted the temperature, his sleep improved dramatically. The second element is white noise. Continuous, non-varying white noise helps babies filter out household sounds that might startle them awake. It also mimics the whooshing sounds they heard in the womb. The key is that it needs to be continuous throughout the night, not just during the falling asleep period. We use a dedicated white noise machine. But there are also great apps available. The third element is swaddling for younger babies or sleep sacks for older ones. The gentle pressure reminds them of the womb and prevents the startle reflex from waking them. Just make sure to stop swaddling once they show signs of rolling. We found that a good quality swaddle made a huge difference compared to the thin hospital blankets we started with. And finally, darkness. While newborns don't necessarily need pitch black rooms, older babies benefit from a dark environment, especially for night sleep. We installed blackout curtains that made a dramatic difference in Noah's morning wake-up time. Before he was up with the sun at 5 a.m. After he consistently slept until 6:30. The combined effect of these environment changes was remarkable. Noah went from waking every 2 to 3 hours to giving us a 5 to 6 hour stretch within just a few nights. It felt like a miracle, but it was simply science, creating the conditions that work with his biology rather than against it. I want to emphasize that sleep challenges are normal and don't reflect on your parenting. Every baby is different, and what works for one might not work for another. The goal isn't perfect sleep, which doesn't exist, but rather finding patterns that allow your family to get the rest you need. Let me share a personal moment of relief. The night after implementing these changes, I actually woke up in a panic because Noah hadn't woken me up. I rushed to his crib only to find him peacefully sleeping. That feeling, realizing your baby is actually capable of consolidated sleep, is indescribable after weeks or months of exhaustion. Now, I'd love to know, which of these 5 mistakes do you think you might be making, or if you've already addressed some of them, what changes made the biggest difference for your family? Share your experience in the comments below. Your insight might be exactly what another parent needs to hear. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up so more parents can discover it. And don't forget to subscribe to Little Life Guide for more evidence-based parenting tips that make life with your little one more joyful and less stressful. Next week, I'll be sharing the exact step-by-step bedtime routine that sleep specialists recommend, with modifications for different ages from newborn to toddler. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss it. Remember, the nights are long, but the years are short. You're doing an amazing job, even on the most exhausting days. Better sleep is possible, and you and your baby both deserve it. Until next time, this is Emily Parker from Little Life Guide, wishing you and your little ones sweet dreams and peaceful nights.